right, so today we're starting the next section, parabolas, first day. So number one says graph the parent function y equals x squared. And then it says in the transformation y equals x squared plus 2, then describe the transformation. So what we're going to do is just fill in the table to the left and then graph on the right. So I'm going to use two different colors today to do the two different pieces. That's all you're going to need. So you can either write on pencil or pen and then highlight over top of that. You've got highlighters on your desk. Or you can pick two different colors of pen or pencil that you have with you, but you have those highlighters available. So please make sure you do that so you can see the differences today. So this first one here is y equals x squared. I'm going to use red. So we're just going to do each of these pieces. So negative 2 squared, negative 1 squared, and so on. So I am not going to write all those parts there. I am just going to write the answer. So negative 2 squared is 4, negative 1 squared is 1, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, and 2 squared is 4. So I have all that. I am going to go over to my graph and put it on there now. So I've got x is negative 2, and then y is 4. So that's going to be right here. Then negative 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 4. So you see how when I draw this is a parabola. You've probably seen a parabola in Algebra 1. You see how I've got some symmetry here. So what I mean by symmetry is these things are the same distance away from that middle line. So that's really nice to see when we get to some of the later questions. So now I'm going to change my color because I'm working with a different equation. So here we're going to just show the work here because there's some more work involved in the last part, and then write the number here. So I'm using blue for these. So I'm going to just write out the work. So I'm plugging in negative 2 for x, so negative 2 squared plus 2. So negative 2 squared is 4, and then plus 2 is 6. So then I'm going to do that for all of these. So I'm going to just plug everything in first, and then I will solve them. So you can do that too. So then I'm going to solve all these. So negative 1 squared is 1, and then plus 2, which is 3. 0 squared is 0, and then plus 2 is 2. 1 squared is 1, and then plus 2 is 3. And 2 squared is 4 plus 2, that is 6. So now what we're going to do is take the x values and the y values and graph those. So I'm going to do negative 2, 6 first. And that doesn't exactly fit on the graph, so I'm going to make my own point up here to represent that 6. Then I'm going to do negative 1, 3. And then 0, 2. 1, 3. Positive, and then 2, 6. So I don't know if you, here, let me move this over a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed, it's the same parabola, but some things have changed. So when I go from this original parent function to this one, where I added 2, what happens is we notice that the graph, all of these points on the graph from the red move up 2. They all move up 2. So what this equation does to the parent function is moves everything up 2. So it just takes all this stuff and goes up 2. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 1 plus 2 is 3. 0 plus 2 is 2. And so on. So the next part says describe. We're going to say the parabola moved each point up by 2. So that is the first one. We're going to continue to do this with different ones and see how the graphs are changing. So that's going to happen with 2, 3, and 4 today. So number 2, let's go look at that table, and we're going to pick red again. So it says graph the parent function y equals x squared, and then the transformation y equals parentheses x plus 2. So notice how x squared plus 2 is definitely different than x plus 2 squared. So this is the same as above, so we're just going to pull all those numbers. You could, again, square everything, but you're going to get the same answers. So I have to make sure I do it right first, though. And then I'm going to graph that again. Just like you're graphing it. And make sure your graph is color-coded. So take a second to do that if you need to. Okay, so now we're going to do the second equation. I'm going to do a different color. The most important part is you don't have to do different colors with the work that you're showing, but definitely on the graph you want to do that. So I'm just going to plug in each of these. So -2 plus 2 squared, -1 plus 2 squared, 0 plus 2 squared, 1 plus 2 squared, and 2 plus 2 squared. And we will find the answers to this in just a second. Once you've written that all down, I'm just going to do the inside part and then I'll square it after. So -2 plus 2 is 0 squared, which is 0. -1 plus 2 is 1 squared, which is 1. And it's okay if you're using a calculator for this stuff, but just to move things along, because today is a shortened day, and because I'm not there, I just want to make sure that we're getting everything we need down. So 0 plus 2 is 2, and then squared is 4. Excuse me. 1 plus 2 is 3, and then squared is 9. And then 2 plus 2 is 4, and then squared is 16. So now let's go put everything we can on the graph. There's going to be some numbers that aren't going to fit, and that's okay. So -2 and 0 is our first set. So -2 is 0. -1 and then 1. So it's actually overlapping one of the points from the other one. 0, 4. And then 1, 9 is not going to fit, and 2, 16 is not going to fit. So when I look at this, this is supposed to be a parabola, but I only have this side of it, the right side, which would represent this side right here. So we do know that the red parabola, which we know all parabolas will be like this, is there is symmetry. So what is on one side will be on the other. So I know that this is my middle point right here. So I know that this point on the right of it is going to go on the other side. So it's going to look like this right here. And then the next point is going to go on this other side like this. So what's happening is I've got this like line of symmetry and everything is going across it. So sometimes it'll happen where you don't get all the points on the graph, and that's okay. You'll know that you can continue your graph. So on this one, the change is, let's change our color here. The original is moving left 2. So every point moved left 2. This one was left 2, this one was left 2, this one was left 2, and so on. Everything moved left 2. So we're going to say, oh, that's a little big. The parabola moved each point left 2. All right, so now we've got all of that. Turn to the back and we will do 2 more transformations to see how things are changing. I'm going to be honest, I really like the color coding today. I wish we had some more opportunities for that. All right, so on the next page, let's get our red set up here. It says graph the parent function y equals x squared. So we've done this already, so we're going to say 4, 1, 0, 1, 4, and this is all coming from the front page. If you didn't remember that, you could just do -2 squared, get 4, and so on. So now the graph is a little bigger on this one because we need a little more space for what's going to happen next. So I'm going to say -2, 4. The first part is going to be the same. -1, 1, 0, 0. Oh, that's a little off. 1, 1, and 2, 4. So I'm going to draw extended because it is going to keep going. So then we are going to transform to y equals x squared minus 5. So I'm just going to plug in the x's for each of these, and then we'll solve in a second. So you should do that too. So -2 squared minus 5, -1 squared minus 5, and so on. Okay, so -2 squared is 4 minus 5 is -1. -1 squared is 1, and then minus 5, which is -4. 0 squared minus 5 is -5, or sorry, 0 minus 5, which is -5. 1 squared minus 5 is 1 minus 5, which is -4. And then 2 squared minus 5 is 4 minus 5, which is -1. So now we're going to graph all that. So take a second to get caught up on that if you need to. All right, so we're going to graph each of these, -2, -1, and so on. So -2, -1 goes here. -1 at -4 is here. 0, -5 is here. 1 at -4 is here. And 2, -1 is here. And then we're going to draw a parabola extending it as far as the graph will let us go. And then we're going to describe the change. So looking at our points, they're all going downward. And they all go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's just make sure for all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they're all doing that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're all going down 5. So we're going to say the parabola moved each point down 5. So when I look at this one, it was y equals x squared minus 5, and that went down 5. And then when I look at this one, y equals x squared plus 2 went up 2. So I'm hoping you're seeing a pattern here. If you're adding 2 on the outside, it goes up 2. If you're subtracting 5 on the outside, it goes down 5. All right, last one of the day. And no homework tonight. That's exciting. So it says graph the parent function y equals x squared. And the transformation y equals the quantity x minus 6 squared. And then describe the transformation. So let's just start with the parent function. So -2 squared is 4. -1 squared is 1. 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, and 2 squared is 4. So you got to write all those down, and then you're going to graph them. All right, I've got mine on there too, so you can compare. So now let's do the transformation. So we're going to say -2 minus 1 squared, -1 minus 1 squared, 0 minus 1 squared, 1 minus 1 squared, and 2 minus 1 squared. And all that is happening here is I've just plugged in each of the x values all the way to the left. So then -2 minus 1 is -3 squared, which is going to be +9. -1 minus 1 is -2 squared, which is +4. 0 minus 1 is -1 squared, which is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0 squared, which is 0. And then 2 minus 1 is 1 squared, which is 1. So let's go graph that one. All right, so this is the same kind of situation where not all the pieces are drawn in. So here is what I have so far. And if I think of like my line of symmetry here, everything's going to be the same on both sides. So then I can write that point right here, and then this other point right here. So I'm going to take away that line and put those points in. All right, so how does the graph change when you do well, I saw a mistake just now, and I already printed these papers, so I'm not going to change it. Let's fix this right here. I'm sorry, I just realized this. We're going to write x minus 1. That should be -1 because that was -1, so that was just a little typo. I will be sure to fix that, but I'm going to make that look a little better. So this becomes y equals x minus 1 squared. Sorry about that. But now when I look at the graph, going from the red to the blue, the change is going to the right 1 for each of the points. Going right 1. So let's go to describe the parabola. Moved each point to the right 1. So this is important to compare to number 2. So if we go back here, this and then number 2 down here look a lot alike because when you add 2, when it looks like that, which definitely looks different than the way number 1 is written with the parentheses here, it's going to move left 2 when you add 2. And then when you subtract 1, it moves right 1. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow.